DC Comics has more drama than a reality TV show with 12 universes and 0 writers. Superman was sold for grocery money. Batman's real creator got buried for decades and treated like a second-rate chump. Executives rebooting universes for anything because their coffee pot got cold or their favorite show didn't come on. This is the real story of DC Comics. Chaos. Genius. Betrayal. And some of the most iconic heroes ever. Stay tuned.
Hero Bishop Show. Subscribe, bruh.
Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster create Superman and sell him for $130. Superman, the most iconic superhero ever, for $130. Action Comics #1 explodes, and then Siegel and Shuster are tripping, bro. They're broke. They're seeing this going to the up to the stratosphere. I don't even know why I said that. I don't even know if that's the proper term, but you get what I'm saying. These dudes are over here regretting their decision, broke as hell, fighting for years to try to get royalties off of this shit. There was also some drama going on with Batman when Batman was created. A shadow war, if you will. Now, Bob Kane officially created Batman, but Bill Finger made Batman who Batman is. Bill Finger pretty much made Batman the icon that he is. Talking about Gotham, the Cow, Joker, his rogues gallery, him being the detective, all that shit. And my boy didn't get credit for years. I'm talking about decades later. Come on, man. Finger's detective noir tone, his vibe, the Gotham architecture. I said Gotham? The Gotham architecture, all that shit that defines Batman. Homeboy made it. Imagine that motherfucker was sitting at that writer's desk mad as hell. These motherfuckers. Letter after letter. Come on, man. Give me my credit, bitch. And what about the multiverse? Seems like an elaborate, well thought out, intricate plan, right? But the multiverse was kind of an accident. It was kind of a fuck up. DC kept rebooting characters, costumes, backstories, everything about them. It was constantly changing. They couldn't keep nothing straight. It was kind of like these politicians' motherfucking lies that they can't keep straight in their stories. But I digress. We're not talking about politics. I don't talk about politics. But the world is all a stage, as they say. Fans were sitting around hella confused like, what the fuck? Then DC's like, oh, I know. It's a multiverse. Buy more comics. So they accidentally invented Infinite Earths. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of retcons. It's almost like damn Charlie Day in the mailroom trying to figure shit out. That's how crazy it was. Personally, man, multiverses, alternate timelines, all that shit, I think is cool. Because my flavor of Batman or Joker or whatever ain't always somebody else's flavor. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool to get variety. And of course, just like Marvel, we ain't going to get out of this without no legal drama. Because there was plenty of that. Siegel and Shuster sued DC for decades of unpaid royalties and credit for Superman. Although they sold it like a work for hire, what it became warranted and made it where they thought they deserved royalties and, you know, credit and all that. Which, in all fairness, I think is cool too. But technically, it's a work for hire, I guess, you know. They sold the character. But, you know, fair is fair. So DC finally gives them credit and a pension, but still no royalties. Dear DC, give me my motherfucking money. And then the 80s comes, and to me, the late 80s, and of course the 90s that I always talk about, the 80s is when comics started to change, started to get good, started to get me hype. Frank Miller drops Dark Knight Returns. Alan Moore drops Watchmen. Crisis Kill Universes. And fans even call in and vote for Robin's corny ass to get killed by the Joker. And look, bro, can I be honest? Bro, it always kind of seemed a little sus to me that Batman ran around with a boy in them little panty things, bro. Come on now. I would have
On Chris Hansen
too. And that brings me back to the classic line at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Joker tells Batman, "Rip up that card and I'll be happy to discuss with you why you sent a boy wonder to do a man's job." Fire, bro. Fire. But I digress. We're talking about the 80s DC. But yeah, Crisis changed everything. Alan Moore, Frank Miller, Grant Morrison, dudes like that changed everything. And people were up on that phone. Kill Robin. Kill him. The 80s was a turning point and a crazy time for comics, especially at DC. And then, of course, the 90s, my favorite era. I'm always talking about it. The 90s is when everybody got extreme. Everyone was ripped, looked like they were steroided, juiced out of their mind, shoulder pads up to here. These motherfuckers was stealing gear from football players to make their costumes. You had Batman out there getting his back broke. Crazy dudes like Azrael taking over the bat suit with a vengeance, like some kind of Batman American Psycho. And Superman died. Yeah, Superman died. I guess they had to kill Superman and make all these new age superheroes because they were running out of wedding ideas and shit like that. Death of Superman was a huge event. It sold millions, and it really cemented DC's love for killing off characters and then bringing them back. All right, we need a dramatic death. Comic sales are down. Let's fucking kill Superman. The Boy Scout's gone. Peace. And we all know the 60s Batman show. We all know Batman 89. The Batmans that came after it. The Batmans that a lot of us don't like to talk about. But then in the 2000s, DC was trying to go really hard. They pleased a lot of fans, but they also made a lot of mistakes. It was a time of chaos for their movie universe that they were trying to start. And they fucked over my boy Zack Snyder, dog. David Ayer too. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. Most people consider those cinematic beauty. Classics of the superhero genre, if you will. They also were making dope-ass animated movies. But the live-action shows, the movies that came after it, it was like rolling dice, man. Some of them hit, some of them were trash. And when we got to them building the new DC universe on film, Zack Snyder, David Ayer, and others, that was a whole nother controversy in itself, which I already put a video out last week that touches on that. So check that out. Warner Bros. Handling DC was chaos. DC Comics passed through Warner Bros., AT&T, Discovery, the donut shop down the road, the weed shop, all that. No, I'm just playing. They didn't do all that. But all these big-ass companies were buying DC, passing it around, went through several different owners, and they all hit reboot, reset as soon as they got it. They never had a chance to cement any type of cinematic universe. In the comics, rebooted, changed up, just the same. And one of those changes was the New 52, which actually, a lot of people shun that, but I rock with it. Some of my favorite Batman stories came out of that. Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder, killing it. And side note, I may say, mix up Zack Snyder and Scott Snyder's names up a lot of time in these videos, but I'm not going to edit that out. So if I'm talking about a movie, Zack Snyder. If I'm talking about the comics, it's Scott Snyder. Thank you. Warner Bros. Wanted to build a universe to rival Marvel Cinematic Universe that they had going. They did hire Snyder, Zack Snyder, to build it up. He had big-ass plans. He had it all mapped out. And then when they saw his dark vision, they panicked because it wasn't Marvelized enough. Half of the fandom loves it. Half of the fandom hates it. Straight chaos. But after that, James Gunn arrives. Obviously, they wanted to Marvelize this shit, so they got their Marvel guy. And they're looking at this dude like he's the Messiah. He's finna save the whole universe. James, please, one home run, baby. One home run. And if you watched my last video, you already know my opinion on James Gunn. But I'm going to look at this objectively. Not him as a person. We're talking about his filmmaking. And here's a little random-ass DC trivia for you. Did you know Wonder Woman's invisible plane almost wasn't ever created? And Joker was almost a one-shot villain that was never going to come up in the comics again? Probably know that. That's actually cool. I don't know why I threw the Wonder Woman shit in there. Whatever. So DC has god tier characters, but a chaotic history and a lot of mismanagement. There's way more of this we could go into. If you want to know more, certain era, certain time, hit me up in the comments, let me know. But the gist of it is you can have great writers, great ideas, great characters, but if it gets in the wrong hands and corporate interests are at play, it can get real fucked up real fast. But check it out, man. With all the bullshit that goes on, remember one thing. These characters are legends. And bah! And guess what? Legends never die, baby. But that's a brief, untold story of DC. Why do I say untold? I guess because every motherfucker who makes a video like this says, the untold truth. It's clickbait, baby. It's clickbait. But anyway, as always, I appreciate y'all watching. Much love and respect. Peace.